Hey, it's your girl Lalah Hathaway. Welcome to Jazz Nerds. Please welcome today one of my favorite people from one of my favorite bands, Amber Navran. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk to you because today's ep is about being a girl jazz nerd,
Woo.
which I get the feeling you are, which I know that I am.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays since everything happened, but the last time I saw you, we were on that cruise, and it was so nice to be able to hang out with you and your sister and the guys and see you guys play because I had never seen you guys live. So I'm a fan of the festival cruise
Yeah.
situation to be able to hang for like a couple days and break bread and talk about music and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it was super fun. I had fun going through all of your like travel setups. That really remember we watched those videos about like
Yes.
best way to bring your stuff with you
Oh,
home and
I'm
like did a bunch of research.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck on how they pack the stuff. I'm stuck on like I need new bags for all my gear. What gear am I taking? Will it
Yeah.
all fit in a carry-on? Do I
Yeah.
need a purse? I'm not sure if I need a purse. So
Yeah.
for the people that don't know, the band is called Moonchild, which is you guys are like such a such a beautiful band. I really love the finesse of the music that you create and play. And I feel like it's this beautiful kind of juicy hybrid of what's new and what's old and what's soulful and what's pop and what's
Aw.
jazz and what's music nerd and just music listener,
Mm.
you know? I know that you guys met like 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's been like 10 years now, which is kind of
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, we just met in college because we were all studying jazz horns. So
So
yeah.
you're like a super badass, but super multi instrumentalist. I want to know. Tell me all the horns you actually play.
Uh,
This is as jazz nerd as it gets, by the way.
sax, flute, and clarinet, and then yeah,
Good
keys for
grief.
like production and stuff. So
Who plays the clarinet anymore? Anyone?
saxophone nerds.
Do you play alto and tenor, or do you play alto?
I play mostly tenor. I started on alto and played alto for a long time, but the story is Max and I both played alto, and
Uh huh.
so when we were trying to be like a horn section, I was the only one. I had borrowed my friend's tenor who doesn't play anymore, and so I was the
Uh
only one who
huh.
had a tenor. I was like, "Oh, I'll
Wow.
just play this tenor that I have," and now I primarily play tenor because
That is astounding. The
so
tenor's my favorite. Tenor's my favorite. I had a really interesting conversation with Terrace Martin about the alto saxophone, but the tenor saxophone is like my favorite.
it's
Like
beautiful.
how many women play tenor that I'm thinking of like in the space where we would know who they are?
Mm.
Do you know any?
I don't know. I feel like now a lot of sax players play all kinds of different. That there's less of like, or I guess there's more of playing alto and tenor, or playing,
Yeah.
soprano and tenor, or yeah.
Yeah. Who's your favorite like tenor player? Or some of your favorite tenor players?
Well, John Coltrane.
Yeah, well, you can't
you
skip Coltrane.
know, Stan Getz. I love Stan Getz.
Oh, love Stan Getz too.
Yeah.
I think I'm a Wayne Shorter
Mm.
person.
Yeah.
That's like my very, very favorite. I love the fact that you will be singing and into this thing, and then you'll just turn and then just pick up a flute, and then just, I mean, the fact that you guys have integrated so much live, almost orchestration into the music,
Mm.
I really love your approach to that. When you're writing, are you thinking about like how you can arrange it, or like who does the most arranging?
For the live shows, Andres does most of our arranging. For the album, we all kind of write horn parts depending on the song. If there's no horns, we'll
Yeah.
just like jump in and write a horn part over an interlude or something. But Andres is really good at like live show transitions, and we usually do more horn solis in the live show than on the album,
Uh-huh.
just because we've noticed that audience likes that, and we
Yeah.
too. So it's like, okay, cool. It'd be fun to add
Oh,
more.
that's so awesome. I absolutely feel like the influence of a lot of different kinds of music, but your music feels like soul music to me. And I'm wondering, like, is that the intent? Is there an intent to present it as soul music or as jazz music or soul influenced pop music, or how do you guys see it?
I feel like we see it, I guess, as neo soul, but everybody sees it differently. We're jazz lovers, and harmony is a big part of what we love about music. So, like, I think a lot of people, when they hear those chords, it's like always jazz to their ears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for me, the drums are more like soul, neo soul, hip hop beat music kind of inspired. So
Right.
we don't really make the music with one thing in mind. It's just kind of us making whatever we feel like in the moment. And then because we all produce and write, so we all are always like making beats and stuff. And then we'll show each other the music, and whichever ones everybody is into are the ones that end up being on the Moonchild album.
Super, super democratic.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
democratic.
Each of us kind of has a really different, I mean, we all have the same love of jazz and soul and neo soul, but outside of that, we each have a lot of different tastes. Like
Mm-hmm.
Andres is a little bit more into like I'd say like classic rock, and he had like a big 80s phase, and then he had like a big like Billy Joel or like Paul Simon phase, and Max is super into like soul and listens to more classical music than we do, and just I
Right,
feel
right.
like between the three of us, even though we have this shared love, a lot of other influences kind of sneak in just from our own personal taste. So
That is awesome. I
yeah,
feel like a lot of women, um, making music nowadays are producers and don't even recognize that they are producing. I feel
yeah.
that way. I mean, when a woman takes on a thing and says, "Okay, I'm a producer,"
Mhm.
like I think to a lot of people it means that you make beats. I think that producer and beat maker are sort of conflated, but
Mm.
it's really nice to know like there are women that into that role. Like you're aware of what the visuals of the record are. You are writing, you're playing, you're singing, you are playing the flute. You guys are touring.
Right.
It's so important, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
for young women to know that even if you're even if you're only singing in the band, you still may be part and parcel of the production of the way the whole thing gets presented.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, vocal production is a huge part of
It's
production.
huge, and
Yeah.
no one ever says, "Well, I produce my own vocal." No one ever says that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And
It's
I
amazing.
personally didn't I felt like discouraged from producing. Maybe it's just my own like, oh, I can't do that. Or I feel like I started trying to do it later than I should have. And then as soon as I
Hmm.
started trying, I was like, wait, I can do this.
This is what I've been doing,
Yeah, so,
right?
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I hope try to like whenever I meet whether it be a vocalist who hasn't tried beat making or like wants to but it is kind of intimidated by it, I always try and be like, no, just do it. Like you can do it. You can absolutely do it.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you. I'm gonna
you
call you
know,
later
you can
because
absolutely do it.
we are working on a song together, you and I, right now, and I have a lead vocal on it. But I love your backgrounds, but I want to put more background, so I'm gonna play you later what I have, and
Oh,
then we can
nice.
talk about what needs to go there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of being like a producer and being in the space, I got invited to do this thing, which I knew was going to be awesome, and for some reason I could not go.
Mm.
But I also was intimidated about going.
Mm.
But then I found out you went to the playlist retreat.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then I was so sad, like I should have gone.
yeah, yeah.
I was really intimidated about going.
I was too, and I also just am like a really introverted person, so being around
Same.
a lot of people for an entire week is like really awesome, but also kind of overwhelming and exhausting. Not in any like negative way about the people, because everyone
Right.
there is like insanely nice. And the
Right.
minute I got there, the whole vibe is like Jeff gives a speech at the beginning to everyone, like, leave your egos at the door. Everyone's here because they deserve to be here. If you don't know people, get to know people. And
Right.
the vibe is just like so full of love and camaraderie. But before I went, I was like really nervous.
I was nervous thinking about going, and then something I had to do something, so I got out of it, and I was like kind of happy but kind of sad. And then, so we're talking about Jazzy Jeff's playlist retreat, and can you just explain a little bit about like what it is?
Yeah, so Jeff gets a bunch of creatives together. It's in a really cool mix of like DJs, producers, instrumentalists, singers, just kind of like everybody is there, and I think it's like 4 or 5 days long, and we all stay in trailers together on his property. And there's a lot of like workshops, and people give talks, and there's usually like products there. Like last year, there was like a headphone company that analyzed your hearing and then made headphones that like tailored to your specific hearing loss so that you could hear the music the way it's meant
Oh
to.
my gosh,
Or
that
like
is awesome.
they had DistroKid there, they have Serato there, and Roland's there. So it's a really inspiring week. And then through at some point in the week, you get broken up into random teams of like 4 or 5 people, and you have to make a song before
Oh
the
my gosh.
end of the retreat. So you're forced, not forced, but like you have to collaborate with these people. And a lot of times you have never met them, but it's always so much fun.
The next time, I hope Jeff, please invite me back, Jeff.
No, but
I'm
I
ready.
understand because I feel like I'm in that situation often where there's like something that we're going to get to do that's like really exciting, but I'm like massively intimidated and kind of like, you know what? If it gets canceled, it'd be okay, you
It would
know?
be all right. I could try again next year. I have that. I don't know what that is. Kathy Griffin, the comedian, talks about like 15 minutes before your show, like you're completely nauseous and it's like, I got to go on. But then when
Yeah,
you finish, it's like, oh, I wish it could have lasted another hour and a half.
right? Yeah.
There's something so beautiful about the expression, but working my way up to it sometimes is intimidating. And then I saw you were there, and Maimuna was there, and Tiffany Goucher was there, and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I would love to hear whatever you guys made at that thing. That looks fun. I'm gonna go if I
Good.
ever get the chance to do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh. Well,
You
I think that,
before
huh?
you get nervous before you perform?
Heck yeah.
That's so
I'm super gassy. Everybody that knows me knows that my stomach is on fire before I get ready to sing. As
yeah.
soon as I stroll out and get set, I'm good.
Nice. Nice.
But it's that nervousness though.
Yeah.
It's like an anxiety. I think it is it stage fright
I guess so. Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I also find that being the girl in front, being the woman in front, being the singer, being like what is traditionally like the centerpiece of the thing, I tend to sometimes feel like I'm in charge of holding everyone's feelings at that moment. And there are moments when I would like to just fall down and fake a seizure maybe. And, and so I could go home.
Yeah.
But it's nerve wracking, but I love what I do. It edifies me so much. I miss it so bad,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So you
Yeah.
guys were up in Big Bear writing.
Yeah.
How'd
So
it go?
it was good. It's funny because we work very separately, but then by the end of the process, there's all these like missing pieces, and we all just need to be in the same room to be like, what if we tried this sound, or what if we tried this line, and how are we going to transition from this song to this song? Just like having everybody throwing out ideas just kind of makes it all finish up so much faster.
That's awesome. I was watching. I went on the deep dive today on your YouTube, and I was seeing that last year you guys went somewhere and holed up in a house and wrote the record like that. Is that the way you do it every time?
So usually, yeah, we record. It's more of like a recording retreat. I think a lot of the writing happens just kind of in pieces between when we're traveling, and I'll just be like sending ideas or sending beats, and then once we kind of have like maybe 20 ideas, it's like, okay, we need to be in the same place for a little bit and get this, solidified or whatever.
That is so awesome. I long for that. It's sometimes I wish I was in a band
Mm,
because a lot of times it's just me, and I've kind of grown weary of the thing where they send you a track and you write to it or you come up with the top line. It's kind of
right.
I would imagine to be able to have other people to bounce stuff off of immediately must be very, very satisfying.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot
Yeah,
of benefits. It's a trade-off. It's like you don't get to just do whatever you're hearing because there's other people who have opinions who don't always like what you're
yeah,
hearing. But if you're
hmm,
ever stuck, there's two other people with great ideas to like push you
right,
through. So it's like um we definitely figured out how to communicate in a way where we can like, suggest other ideas or like, kind of work out what we can all agree on in a way that
yeah,
makes everyone feel good.
yeah. I was watching your tiny desk today,
Oh,
and it occurred to me that I believe that that is the first place I saw you was
oh wow.
on that tiny desk. When
Cool.
was that?
That was 2019,
No,
wasn't it? No, 2020. Uh,
no.
We did it in 2019. We did Tiny Desk in 2019 and then right?
No, I think it was longer ago than that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gonna call on my people to find out. But I remember I feel like that was the first time I saw your band actually playing. And I did one of those in I think 2019 or 2018, something like that. Did you notice anything like following that? Was there a moment like when you found your band like an uptick? Did anything happen like after the tiny desk?
Yeah, it was huge for us. It
Yeah.
was really huge. And, we were hoping it would be, but you never know. And I think we got like 10,000 followers in a day or something on our
Oh,
Instagram. And we were like,
wow.
oh my God, what? It was insane.
Wow.
So it was like an exciting, for me, I was so nervous for that. Just like
Me too. Me too.
trying so hard to hold it together and like look like I was zen. But it's tiny desk. It felt like such a big deal. So
Yeah, it is. What were you? What were you? Why were you nervous though? Just to be? Was it the people in the room? You know how like the people have come around and now they're having lunch and they're hanging out with you while you're playing the music. What was the nervousness?
I get nervous about stuff that's like live streams, I guess. Because I
Yeah.
personally I think live music is meant to be experienced live. And when you're
Yes.
in the room and you're feeling it and you're feeling the energy of everyone experiencing it, you just can't really recreate that on
I
the
agree.
watching it on the internet. And Tiny Desk does a really good job. I think they do the best of any, like live stream that I've seen, but I just I
It's
just feel
hard.
like being there you get the experience, and then
This is what I tell people when they come to the show and they're recording the show. I'm trying to tell them that it's not going to look the same. It's not going to sound the
not gonna
same.
sound the
It's not going
same.
to feel the same.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really loved what you had to say in the middle of your tiny desk about spending your privilege.
Mm.
I thought it was so beautifully said, so eloquent. And it started off where you were saying, we always talk about this and we want to let you know how we feel about this. But then you kept going, and I was like, uh. I mean, what you said really kind of moved me. I really appreciate that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I found that phrase it's Brittany Packnett Cunningham's
Love her.
phrase. Yeah, and I followed her and I've been following her for a while and she just posted this like text box that said spend your privilege and I was like that's it. That's the phrase, As soon as I read that I was like, yes. Cuz
Yeah.
I had been feeling for a while like like we need to be making monthly donations, like it's our responsibility and I was trying to find a way to say that like during the set. But as soon as I
Hmm.
read that phrase, I was like, okay, now I've it just kind of like gave me the words that I needed to like put it out there. But
It was
yeah,
beautifully said.
I think that I just I think that more white artists, I think that all white artists need to be, using their stage time and using their platform to talk about social justice and Black Lives Matter. It just like it's just a responsibility. It's not even
Yeah.
like it shouldn't be like a rare or it shouldn't be rare. You
Right.
know what I
It
mean?
shouldn't be a thing that we call out. It should be
Right.
just kind of
Yeah, it
baked
shouldn't be
into the
like,
whole thing.
oh, it's cool that you do that. It should be like, no, it's not cool that you're not doing that.
That
You
you're
know?
not. Yes, I
Yeah,
totally
like,
agree.
so
I
I don't
appreciated that you said it. It was the way you said it was so eloquent, and I think the way that you said it went past what you were saying. It really had a almost a maternal tone to it, which I really appreciated.
know. I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not very good at speak. It's funny how like, you're used to like singing in front of people, but to like say words in front of people,
Girl,
like
I
this,
know.
we did that in every show. And the song before the speech, I was like,
It's
I'll never
coming.
I'm gonna, I have to like say
I
words
totally
in
understand.
front of people. You'd
Oh,
think
I
it's
used to
easy.
do the song with Marcus Miller, and I would have to read these lyrics that Michelle Indigale had. And instead of saying the song like they do, I wrote them down. I read them off the paper every night. I was terrified. I don't
Right?
know why.
Yeah. There's
All right,
some
let me get into
there's
therapy
some
on that.
difference that I don't understand.
Tell me what you feel like. Do you feel like are you treated any differently on the road because you're a girl and they're boys? Do you feel that ever when you get to places? Like, do the promoters deal
um,
with you differently or the sound people or
the sound people do. Absolutely.
definitely
Absolutely. Yeah.
same?
Yeah. And either they're not talking to me, they're talking to Max and telling him things to tell me. And
Right.
at this point it's happened to Max so much that he's just like, if you have something to say to Amber, you need to say it to Amber.
Right. Right.
With me, it's just like, and okay, so, I am kind of a soft singer, and every sound guy has a different idea about what I need to do differently, what mic I need. Like every single sound guy, I have even taken some of their advice and bought a mic that they suggested, and then I get to the next venue and they're like, "This is a terrible mic for you. I don't know why you."
Who
It's
told you to
like,
get this mic? Why did you get this mic? The mic you need it. Yes, I totally get
oh
it.
my gosh, and not only that, but just I don't know. I think there's just expecting me to like not know anything. Just being talked to like you don't know anything, which is
That to me, that's the worst offense is underestimating that I understand what I'm talking about. Because
right,
there are people that don't, but I hate it when they talk to me like I don't know what I'm talking
right.
about.
And we
That was part of the reason at Berkeley why like I really worked hard to be in the room with boys just so that I could stand there and they couldn't tell me what to do.
right. Yeah,
Oh man.
man, it's crazy. I ended up selling this microphone that people gave me so much shit over. And then we flew to Japan and we got there and they had the mic there because it was like on a writer or something. It was like an old writer. And I sit down during sound check to sing. There's no feedback, not even for sound check. No
Okay.
feedback. And it worked beautifully and it sounded so good in my ears. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love
Let's
how I sound." And
let's just quickly talk about the fact that when you get to Tokyo, there is no feedback.
there's no feedback.
I don't know what that is, but when I have ever played at like the Blue Note Tokyo or Osaka or Fukuoka or across that entire country, the ills, the well documented ills that I have, like I miss sound check now so bad I'll never say I hate it again. But the pain in my ass, which is sound check, I hardly ever had there. Why,
It's
Amber?
so
Why? Why for? Why?
I don't know.
Hmm.
It's amazing. I was like,
Where do you guys play in Japan?
We played the Blue Note last time and
Tokyo?
in Tokyo, yeah. And we did
Beautiful room.
Yokohama and Nagoya, but those were the only three we've done. We were hoping to go to Osaka this year, but it got canceled, obviously.
Yeah, same. I miss it there. Tokyo Blue Note is probably one of the most beautiful rooms
Oh,
I've ever played in. It's just gorgeous and the sound is just tight and it's a really nice experience.
yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
like one of your favorite places to tour?
Oh yeah. The food.
The food. Oh, the food. Those little egg sandwiches at the Lawson even are just good.
Everything. Yeah, you
Just
go
good.
to 7-Eleven and you buy the little buns and
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
everything.
The Family Mart. The Family Mart. Yes,
Even the cheap stuff is good.
it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Where do you like? I mean, here at home, like, what are some of your favorite rooms to play in? Because your voice is not like the typical voice. You have a beautiful cloud sort of, it just kind of floats out like a beautiful, colorful cloud. And so I imagine in a lot of venues, they have to work on that. I know that my voice is low and has color, but it's breathy, and so it's always hard to mic. Like, what are your
Yeah.
favorite rooms? What are your favorite rooms where you like the sound of
That's
your
a good
voice?
question. I feel like I haven't consistently played enough places to really know. Because each
Mm.
time we've done a show, it's kind of been like, oh, we're like moving up to the next capacity a little bit, or
Same,
like,
yeah,
or like opening for somebody who's bigger than us. And it's like, oh, here we are.
yeah.
I have a feeling that smaller rooms are better though, because
Agreed.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
have these rapid fire questions. I don't know if they're very rapid. They're more like slow kind of fire questions, and I just make them up as they come to me. But
I love it.
can you tell me like who are some of your favorite singers, living or dead?
Well, there's you,
Aw,
of
thanks.
course.
I owe you. I owe you a
Of
dollar.
course.
$1.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
Uh, Erica and Jill, of course.
Yeah.
Um, I love Emily King and Amber and Paris Strother from We Are King
Oh,
so
love
much,
them.
so much.
Love them.
Um, Michael Mayo has such a beautiful voice. I love his.
Wow. Okay.
I have a good friend, Erin Bentledge. She's a beautiful singer. Uh, yeah, there's such a long list.
Yeah. Do you think of yourself as like a how would you describe if someone came from another planet and said, "What is it that you do?" How would you describe it to them?
uh, Singer, producer, woodwinds player.
If they said like, "What's it like?"
What's
What's
it
it
like?
like? Yeah.
Um, Lots of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I love like writing music is my happy place, writing and producing, and then probably recording music. And then being on stage I'm getting more and more comfortable with it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was going to be my next question, if
I
you
just
prefer like studio or live better.
I I love meeting people at the shows and talking to people at the shows, but actually like being on stage has been kind of a hurdle for me to like get more and more comfortable with. So for me, touring is really exhausting, rewarding, but exhausting.
Yes. Yes.
And it's a lot of
Understood.
like nerves and then post show like just kind of processing everything, and also like you were saying, kind of being responsible for everyone's emotions on the road, but also as the kind of the person who's talking and like making the show happen. It's a lot of energy just trying to like make sure the audience is having a good experience, and you know what I mean. It's like
It's a huge responsibility. I don't know
yeah,
if people really understand. Like for me, standing there and looking at however many hundred or thousand people,
yeah,
to really be trying to look at each of them and take into
right,
account like how they are feeling and really try to read the cues, and it's a
yeah,
lot.
it is.
It's
It is.
it's cruise director times a million.
Right? I'm always so much more exhausted uh, than everyone. I try to like on our days off, I'm always the one who's like staying home and sleeping, and you know, it's just sometimes I'm like, oh man, I should have just played bass. And playing bass is hard and in a million ways, but like to not have to be up front, like
Oh,
running the show would be,
yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
maybe I would have more gratitude for it if I switched
There are
roles.
nights there are nights where I wish I was like playing congas.
Right?
I could
Yeah.
just hit the occasion doop doop and then just look around and smile at people. Not that the conga player doesn't have a hard time, but I'm just saying he doesn't have to also talk and make jokes and be
Right.
pretty. You
Right, and
know,
be pretty. Like, the
that's
boys
a big deal.
will leave sound check and just, like, go walk around and get dinner, and I'll
And
be
then
like,
come back.
yeah, and I'll be there the entire I'm like, "Hey, Max, could you just get me whatever you're getting? I'm gonna be here, like, warming up, getting ready," like
I got to steam. I need to fix my
Right?
hair, and
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
That's it's kind of like a lot of pressure on us sometimes. Like, particularly, I know I've shown up to a show where I was kind of casual, and I'll get these emails like, "Hey, I paid to see you, and you weren't wearing a dress."
What? Oh, oh,
I've gotten
no.
those. I've gotten those. I've gotten those.
Wow. That's bold. That's a bold
It
email.
really is. I just got to this
Wow.
space in the last like 5 or 6 years where I'm just gonna show up how I show up, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Well, we should be able to, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be cute, but if Chance the Rapper can come with the baseball hat on, certainly I can come with my fatigue jacket on and be good to go.
Yeah. Yep. I like that.
Um, so I saw you with Nowhere, and I was like, "Is that Amber? Of course, that's Amber with Nowhere."
Yep.
That to me, that section. Were you leading the section?
No, I don't know who was it. I was playing flute and tenor.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I was playing second flute, second tenor. So no, I wasn't leading, but I was really happy to be there. And I was also happy that there was like a girl in the horn section, you know?
Right.
And
Always.
that, I think that was intentional on Nowhere's part because they
Mm-hmm.
definitely know other sax players who play more saxophone than I do. Because
Really?
like I have a saxophone degree, you know, I can absolutely play saxophone, but I also do like a lot of other things, you know.
Right.
So there are so many sax players in LA that only play saxophone. So, you know, there's going to be a difference.
I was so
Uh,
excited to see you there, as I always am excited to see women like in a situation. And in my mind, well, Amber's the leader. Clearly, I'm
oh,
looking at her, and
that's
she's
sweet.
she's right there. So in my mind, that's where you are. But in
That's
terms
sweet.
of being a woman in a section, have you ever found that like you are the leader and people just don't know you're the leader, or have you ever run into like any super like flags in terms of being a woman in this industry and a woman in a super male dominated space, particularly jazz, kind of like
Mhm.
super male dominated,
Yeah.
unless you're singing, you
Right.
know. I have found it as the singer in that space that I have to almost, I have to understand what the alto and tenor player is doing. I have to understand what the drummer is doing. I have to understand what the piano player or the keyboard player is doing so that I know, I have to be in front of that.
Mhm.
You find that?
Yeah, I think it for me, it's manifested in small ways. So even and it's manifested from everyone that I know at some point or another, which makes me realize how internalized it is in all of us. I know that
Right.
I've certainly made assumptions about, unintentionally made assumptions about women like doing sound where I'm like, oh shit, yes, yes,
Right.
or
Right.
like so we've all done it. I don't mean to like throw any of my friends under the bus, but just having, you know people assuming that you're the one who's out of tune, or people start telling you how to do something that you clearly already know,
Right.
or you ask to change the chord changes to a section because you like these other changes better, and they think you're asking because you don't know how to play over these other changes, and it's like, no, no,
Right.
no, no. We went to school together,
Yeah,
like
it
we
gets
had
so
the same,
deep.
it's just like sometimes their reaction to, like, I asked a friend for help with piano voicings because, piano is like the last instrument on my list. So I'm still trying to learn cool voicings, and I show up and I had told him a song that I wanted to work on, and he started like teaching me the song like I didn't know it, and I was like, no, I came here knowing the song, like,
I just need the
yeah,
voicings.
yeah, I just need the voice, and we're like listening through. He's like, okay, so yeah, I'm listening to the bass, and like it sounds like, and I'm like, dude, I know how to learn a song, it's just
Yeah.
like little things like that,
And you're right. It's so ingrained.
and it's not, I feel lucky that I haven't had like an outright like, oh, you can't play, or like, I haven't
You're a
had,
girl.
right, yeah, I haven't had like a really in your face experience. I've just had a lot of little experiences where I'm like, why do you think I don't know this? Or like, and it, a lot of times I have to be like, oh, I'm not out of tune. Like I always tune before we show up. Like, why do you keep assuming that it's me?
Right.
Like, oh, it's because
I
I'm the only girl here. That's why you're,
right.
you know?
I have definitely had those like front facing like,
Mm.
oh, you're a girl. Not even you're a woman. You're a girl. Like I'm hearing something, I'm hearing a feedback. Oh no, that's not what you're hearing. That's not they will tell you what you're not hearing. That's not what you're hearing. But my
That's
entire
awesome.
band knows who I am, so I'm always comfortable in that knowledge. Like the people that know me. So,
Right.
it's showing up to a session where there's a guy like, sing it like this, or,
Mm.
I'll ask like, well, what key is the song in?
Mm.
Why don't we sing a flat five over that?
Yeah,
And the producer saying, what?
yeah.
I kind of use it the other way sometimes for
Yeah.
evil, so that's
I
probably not
like
good.
that. No, that's a good response to it.
It's probably bad. It's probably bad times either. I
No.
love though being I really love being a woman at this time right now and in this field. Like a lot of the people that I'm able to work with and collaborate with, I feel like I bring such a softness but a hardness too. Like I know what I'm doing, but it's just me and I'm a woman everywhere I go, but don't fuck with me. I really appreciate that
Yeah.
flex.
That's like, from from my experience in jazz culture, I feel like it can be so hard and like tough, you know what I mean? And like lots of chopping out and all this stuff,
Right,
and when you show up with a different perspective, that it's like, yeah, I can do all of that, but I don't choose to do all of that all the time. Or like, it's like if I'm not chopping out within the first few seconds of you hearing me, you just assume that it's not there, Or
right,
just,
right.
it's like, it's nice that I feel like that perspective is sneaking its way in more, or maybe people are realizing what it means.
Yeah, absolutely. It just blooms in a session. I find,
Mm.
you know, to go in a session with like Rob or Terrace or Kiefer or just to be able to add my perspective, but also have an understanding of what's happening
Right.
is so awesome. I
Yeah.
love the thing that you and Kiefer wrote too. I'm writing to that too.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Yeah,
So
we have
glad.
lots of work to do in the future. I know it's coming our way.
Yes. Yes. I'm looking forward to it. Have you felt a shift? I feel like, I guess from my experience, I feel like now that Moonchild is more jazz people know about the band, now I feel like more respected. Like people don't assume that I don't know anything. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you talk to people, and it's like, oh, you already know all this stuff. Like no one is like explaining stuff to me in the way that they used to.
They're not going to do it to you. And the reason is honestly in my mind because if you were just singing in front of the guys, they might still do it. But
Mm.
you are clearly, like in their minds, a musician because you play instruments.
Mm.
And I go and do clinics and talk to kids doing music, and I always say, like, raise your hand in this room if you're a musician. And all the boys will put up their hand. And then I'll say, raise your hand if you're a singer. And
Mm.
all the girls will put up their hands.
Mm.
And then I just break it down right there. Like, ladies, let me talk to you for a second. You are a
Yeah.
musician. Your
Yeah.
voice is your instrument.
Yeah.
You're no more or no less than anyone in the
Yeah.
band. You just sing. You have the original instrument,
Yeah.
the one that can't be
Yeah.
duplicated.
Yeah.
So much
And how
respect.
about respect for like learning how to use your body so that you can make these sounds, which is so hard, or
It's
respect for like
huge.
writing words that people feel connected to,
It's huge.
there's just like so many sides to being a singer that are totally not valued by
I agree.
instrumentalists.
I agree. I'll tell you the worst part about being the singer in the band is that when we get to sound check, which is again the most hated part of the day for me, but I'm missing so much, right? I would marry it right now, is that you get there and they get, all right, let me hear the snare. Let me get the snare. All right, the toms. They spend, like 48 minutes on that bass sound. You gonna use that head? All right. They spend like another 20 minutes on that. Then keys, like, are you all the way up? Everybody? All right, I'm gonna take some stuff out of there. Singers, they just push your shit up and like, all right, you ready? Like, really?
Right?
Like I'm standing in the front. My name's on the marquee. Just what you're gonna do? The vocals? You're just gonna push them up flat? Okay.
Right?
Oh, that's fun. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah. I had one sound guy tell Max that he always turns the vocals down in the singer's monitors to make them sing louder if he ever comes across a soft singer. And I was like, excuse me?
He's fired. He's out. He's fired. That is horrible.
So rude.
Oh.
So then after I heard that, every time I'd be at a show and I'd be like, oh, more vocals, I'd always question, like, did they actually do it? Or are they just
Because you'll think you're crazy. Like or I was opening for someone in the 90s, very really great musician, and his sound guy would miss sound check when it was my turn. But then when it was the act's turn, he would come and check the sound. So during my set, he was messing with the sound the entire time, which is where I learned how to sing without monitors.
right?
Because at some point I got smart and was like, don't just turn them off. I don't want them on at all.
Wow.
Just don't even mess with them at all. I
That's
just
a
got
good
so
skill to
tired.
have. Oh my God.
I had to do it because
That's so
the
hard.
whole show, it's so distracting. I don't think people understand how important the sound is.
Yeah.
Which is why I called you like at the midnight the other night, like, Amber, do you know how can I get the reverb on the vocal? I'm working on that.
Yes.
I'm working on all that.
I love it. I on the subject of like respect and for instrumentalist versus singer, when I started, I kind of like made a shift from playing mostly saxophone to learning how to sing and producing, and now I do more of that than I do horn playing. But I really struggled because I was only getting respect for my instrumental side. I really struggled with like insecurity about kind of letting that slip, because when you don't play every day, it just like you get rusty and you get it
Right.
back when you start playing again. But it took me a long time to like reach a point where I was comfortable being like, okay, I sing and produce mainly, and this is something that I can do. And I'm not gonna, because some people are like, oh, well, but can you really blow? And it's like, well, actually for the past 2 years, I've been producing all of these songs, and
Right.
I
Right.
know all of the theory that and like give me a few weeks before the gig and I'll shed and I'll show up and I'll do it. But like,
Right.
it was such an interest. It was kind of all in my head. But now
Yeah.
that I'm on the other side of it, I just hope that anyone who like plays and is starting to learn how to sing and like, don't worry about it,
Yeah. Don't worry about it at all. Because
Yeah,
it's all you.
yeah.
And all someone needs to do is look at someone like you or Esperanza or, I mean, any woman like playing and then singing. It's an extension of what you do on your instrument.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you listen to Chet Baker, he sings how he plays and he plays how he sings,
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about being a musician, being a multi instrumentalist, and being a great singer, and sort of kind of straddling the line between what is kind of jazz and soul and pop. Do you ever feel like in your head is all this music, which is sometimes math? Do you ever feel like you dumb it down? Not dumb it down. That's not what I don't want to say dumb it down, but there is a certain there is a certain aesthetic as a jazz musician, kind of, or as a person that makes jazz or soul music that is largely, when you're playing out, it's ad lib. There's a little more liberation in it. To not present that in the pop world, do you hold some of it back ever? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I think that happens just as a product of being in the group with two other people. I feel like I am more out than Max and Andres are. Like I don't when there's like tensions between, sometimes I want the bass to play this line and I want the chords to do like this chromatic thing and there's points where they're out. And I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But oftentimes they're like, "No, why don't we change it so that it fits?" And I'm like, "Do we have to?" I think it's cool that it
It
doesn't
fits.
fit,
Right.
you know? Like,
I
so I feel
definitely.
like
Now go ahead.
oh no, yeah, I feel like that happens in the band just as a result of like what people's tastes are in the group. And then when I go do stuff on my own, have the freedom to kind of like have those more out
Whatever you
moments,
want.
you know?
Hmm.
And it's not, as people don't not as many people are into it probably because it's out,
Right.
but but that's fine. I get to like have my moment there. But
Yeah. I have
yeah,
definitely been told by people before, like I'll sing something and, everyone in the room is like, woo, we can't do that. Like, why do you hold back the goodness? Because they feel like people won't get it, or it's
right.
too musical, or it's hard, or people can't sing along. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna sing all
Yeah.
the weirdo tensions over everything from now
Right.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Wow.
that.
Have you ever
We
been
try
told
to
that you're like too good for the radio?
no.
No? That's excellent.
Have you?
I have. I mean, when I
Wow.
started in 1990, I was just coming out of Berkeley, and at that point, again, I was listening to like Phineas Newborn records all day and Train records, and
Yeah.
I felt like singing pop music was going to make me soft. And I remember people telling me like, "Oh, you might be too good. You're singing it. You need to simplify what you're doing." Basically, is what they were trying
Yeah.
to tell me.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that sucks.
I still get that occasionally.
Yeah. I think there's truth to I definitely feel like our songs that don't have moments like that connect with more people who maybe don't listen to out music like that. But we try and like sneak it in with like a horn line here or there, you know?
Right, right.
But I mean, in the end, music is about what you feel. And there's people who are going to love how you feel. So fuck it.
Yeah, just create and be
Create.
as bad as you want to be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
And
I was holding on to that, singing that chord for like, I've been doing it since I'm 13. And then one day I
wow.
did it, and then people went, "What? What is that?" And
Wow.
that was a thing,
Wow.
Had I held it back because no one would get it,
Right.
I would
Yeah.
have no chord.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah.
I have definitely been told that, girl, it's not grimy enough. It's too articulated, too enunciated. It's just you singing over the changes. It's too many. It's too much. I
No.
definitely get
It's
that.
so good. How can
Yeah,
they
I
say
appreciate
that?
it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we all listen to Spotify now anyway, so
There you go. Everybody's in there together, so
we're
whatever.
all yeah. Who cares about
Mhm.
the radio?
I know. You know what? One of the things I wanted to ask you is, so your band, I don't know what your Spotify reach is. I'm certain it's huge. But do you guys tell me how you feel about the radio? When I was coming up, the radio was that was it. There was no Spotify, there was no Apple Music. You know what I mean? Like the radio was the thing. And I find more and more that the music that is popular, at least amongst the people I know or the crowds that I play in front of, less and less has any kind of real estate on the radio.
Right.
So are you reaching most of your people through like
Yep.
Spotify and
And
Apple
YouTube.
Music and Tidal
Yeah.
and
I'm not a
YouTube?
YouTube person, but I've
Hmm.
learned there's a lot of people who listen and find music on YouTube almost exclusively, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and I think just the autoplay of like, oh, you were listening to this album, we're gonna put Moonchild on now. A lot of people have at our shows told us, I YouTube just played your album for me, and I'm like, oh, sick.
So that's the real discovery. That's the way
Yeah.
you hope it goes.
Yeah, or like Spotify. For a minute, we were on some like coffee time playlist on Spotify that people were listening to when they studied or something, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, I found you on the coffee time playlist." And we're like,
I love those, by the
yeah,
way. I love those with the animation.
right,
There's like a cat in a windowsill and like a little girl with
yeah,
headphones on writing on a page and it's music to
right,
chill to. I love those.
right. They're good
That's
playlists.
excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't
yeah,
spend your money on the radio because
yeah.
unfortunately the place there's like a place here which is all of those folks, and then there's a place, I won't put it lower, but I'll put it next to it, but just in a different place
Right.
for the other folks that is like oldies and dusties. Like on the radio, what station, what format would you, like if I said, here's $1 million radio budget, go. Like where would you take your albums? I said albums. Like what format?
What format? Like what
Yeah.
station or what?
Yeah, like what station?
KJLH?
Yeah. It oldies and dusties and new R&B.
Yeah.
But
I don't
you're going to
know.
get like one spin a week over there. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah, I
either
don't know.
here or here. It's just the radio is so strange anymore.
Yeah, I don't really understand it.
I don't either. I used to as a kid. I mean, I grew up with the radio and I
Yeah.
grew up understanding who the DJs were and what they played and what
Yeah.
how to, if I want to hear Foreigner, I'm going to have to listen at this time of the day. If
Mm.
I want to hear Joni, I got to listen to this guy. He loves Joni. So Prince is over here at night. They're going to play the mixes at night.
Right.
It's a completely different animal now. How do you guys find, like, what is your most efficient way to sell? Are you interested in selling music to your fans?
Selling music. What do
To
you
your
mean?
fans, like, I mean, like it was. I think there's so much about streaming that
Mhm.
not a lot of people are buying albums.
I
You
have
know?
I kind of feel, and maybe this is wrong, but I kind of feel like having streaming income for the rest of your life, like instead of somebody buying the album one time, if they listen to your album for the rest of their lives on Spotify, you're going to see that Spotify income. And so maybe it ends up being the same or more as somebody
Yeah,
like buying the album. Like you see it later.
yeah. Kind of
I don't
what and
know.
what.
That's kind of my theory. I don't know if it's right. What do you think? Do you think?
I think Spotify could probably pay us a little better. I
Yeah.
think that from my research, Tidal is the best, maybe for
Right.
artists.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not really sure how it breaks down. I don't know that we're supposed to even get it. I don't think it's set up for us to really be
Mm,
doing the math.
right.
But
Right.
I think it's interesting what you're saying is the people that support you that are streaming the music, a lot of times they have money to come to a show
Right.
or buy a T-shirt
Right.
or
That's kind
I
of
think
been
that's an interesting point.
the biggest thing for us is like being on the road and selling merch or like
Yeah.
opening for someone. Every time we've opened for somebody, it's been really big for us as opposed to like paying for radio time. I think we would rather go on the road opening for someone,
Same. We're the same. Who have you guys
Yeah.
opened for?
The internet, we've opened for twice,
I
and
know that
both
was fun.
times it was super fun just to like see them every night.
Yeah.
And a lot of their audience, like the next time we went on the road by ourselves, they're like, "Oh, we saw you at the internet show." We're like, "Oh, wow."
Excellent.
Um, Yeah, in Kamasi, Washington. That was super
Excellent.
fun. Super fun. And then
Where
we
did you?
were
What kind of venues do you play with Kamasi?
they were huge venues. I was just like, you know how at some point some I don't know, maybe it was like a few years ago. They're like, "Oh, jazz is dead. Like nobody goes to see jazz anymore." And then you tour with Kamasi, and he's like selling out like thousands of, and it's like jazz is not dead.
Not at all.
And it's
Kamasi is
like,
like the Lenny Kravitz of jazz.
right?
He's out
Yeah,
there. He's
yeah.
at
All
Coachella.
ages. Yeah, it was just like such a fun experience to see that. And his show's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and everybody has a
Wow.
moment to shine. Like everybody has an extended solo, so you get to see everybody like do their thing in their element.
Real
And
show. Hmm.
yeah, it was really fun to see that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've never seen him, but the fact that he was at Coachella signaled to me like,
right.
oh, there you go.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I definitely feel like being a woman in music right now, there are so many artists that I'm learning about every day. Like I just got hip to Bosco and Ash and all these different young women that understand what their power is in the marketplace. That when I was 20 and 22 making records, I don't know that I understood that or if I had that kind of leeway trying to create for the radio. Can
Yeah.
you speak to like the freedom you have now in this era of the music business?
Yeah. I just yeah, I guess I feel really lucky.
Yeah.
It's like, Moonchild started just as an idea and we just were able to put our stuff on Spotify and we like borrowed equipment and had a cracked version of Logic and just like mixed our own stuff and put it up. It just feels so much more like you can do whatever you want.
It's
And
open.
yeah, it's open. Yeah, you don't have to fit anywhere and um, it has to be in, empowering more women for sure because instead of like needing to fit a mold or like needing to please these dudes over here with your perspective in order to have your music heard, you don't have to do that anymore. I
Yeah.
just hope that I see a lot of women who are empowered and who are like taking those risks or not risks but like even just having the confidence to be like, oh yeah, I could do that, and trying it and going for it and like having
Hmm.
faith in the value of their musical perspective. But I hope that more women who may be feeling like they can't do something, I hope that they do.
I do
I've had
too.
a lot of conversations with women. We've done like some master classes at different colleges, or like sometimes, at a show, a woman will come up to me and be like, I'm a sax player, and I just want to know like how did you like make all of this happen? And it's like, well, you just set a deadline and finish the album and put it up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all we did was just like put music out um
And then just keep doing it.
and keep, yeah, instead of like waiting for it to be perfect. I don't know how you feel like at the end of an album process, but and we're
Oh
like
my God.
I just am like, this is terrible.
Like, what am
this,
I doing?
this sounds terrible.
Ah.
I can't sing.
Oh, I love that moment though when you decide like this is the album.
That's it. I'm not changing anything else,
That's it. The edits are over.
The
I'm
words are
done.
fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I
need any more
I
background
definitely
vocals.
right. Right. I definitely found on the last record that I made, which is called Honestly
Yeah.
with Tiffany Boucher, there was just something about working with another woman, which was the first time I had really done that since like in the early 90s with Angela Winbush. And I didn't really get to really milk that situation. But working with Tiff, I found that we just did what we did. Like I have a foot in what's now, but I have a couple of toes still in what was the traditional music industry where there's a guy that tells you, I have some of that stuff still lingering just by nature of the fact that I am me.
Yeah, yeah.
But being able to create, particularly in that situation with another woman that understood what I was talking about and we're
Right.
just on the same rhythms in a lot of a lot
Yeah.
of ways. Being able to create and say, okay, that's it, that's good. This is what this is, and that's
Right.
done. This is
Yeah.
the perspective on this song. This
Right.
is how we're going to do this. This is how it's going, and here's we're putting it out.
And
It
it's
was
never
so
like
edifying.
there's no question of like whether what you're doing is right or, you know, like, I don't know.
Correct.
Just like hearing you explain that situation makes me feel like, oh man, wouldn't that be nice to just like make an album and not have like people questioning whether you know what you're doing along the way?
Right.
You
It's
know?
just the freedom to create, just the
Yeah.
freedom of expression.
Yeah.
I look
Yeah.
forward to that. I look
That's
forward to
so
working with you guys, and I'm excited about our song. I'm just still in my closet though, trying to get the reverb to work,
mm.
and I've watched like 89 Logic Pro
I hate
YouTubes.
those videos, man.
Oh, they always start someplace past where I am, and
Right,
I'm
right.
like, well, what about that? You didn't start at the beginning. How do I turn on the reverb? So yes,
Right, right.
I look forward to working with you guys more and seeing you guys play. I'll be glad when this is all over and we can all be out on the road again.
Yeah, yeah. I love recording in my closet.
Do you have a setup in there?
Yeah, so this is my closet.
Is this your closet?
Yeah,
Show
I'll
me.
spin around for you.
Listen, I want you to know that I follow about 89 YouTubes that have studio setups in people's closets because I'm a nerd. That
I
looks
love it.
beautiful. It's so comfy in there. What's your light looking like? What's happening?
Oh, it's a little bit too bright, so I put a little thing on
Oh, you
top.
got a scarf. Oh,
It
nice.
kind of hits you in the face otherwise.
Yeah. And see, there's a credit that you didn't even give yourself that I didn't give you. Engineer. You're engineering your own stuff. It's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's just so nice. I feel so much. I think that I'm spoiled in that I don't have to sing in front of people. Very, like I create the album by myself and I like make all of my, like, weed out all the crazy, not crazy ideas, but like ideas that I don't like, or,
Yeah. You
I
just
like,
get it perfect.
yeah, I get to make all of my mistakes or like explorations, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
here by myself. And I just feel like so free. And then as soon as, I get in front of other people, I'm like, oh crap,
Same, same. There's a
why do
lot
I
of
have
times
to be here?
I'm standing there and I'm singing, and a lot of times I'm on autopilot.
Mm,
I'm thinking
yeah,
about like, am I wearing socks? I'm not wearing socks right now.
right.
Thinking like, what are we gonna eat when we get on the bus? A lot of times I'm thinking about stuff like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love your room. That's so cool. Please send me a
Oh,
picture when we hang up because I want to
oh.
look at it. Amber, 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 Amber. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time talking to me
Thank you for
today.
having me. It's an
Us girls
honor.
got to stick together.
Yes.
Please, please don't forget, send me pictures of your studio so I can
Oh,
nerd out.
I will. Likewise, show me your closet setup.
Girl, it is literally a closet right now. There's like some clothes in there
That's
and an
perfect. It's your
SB2.
installation. Yeah. You don't need a booth. You've got
I
all your
need no
clothes.
baffling.
Yeah.
Right. I do need help with reverb, and that no lie. I need help with reverb, so I'm gonna call you.
Call me. Yay.
Bye.
Bye bye.